Have you ever wondered why there are days when you feel so full of motivation, but just a few days later, it all disappears? You tell yourself, tomorrow I will change, tomorrow I will start. But somehow, that tomorrow never comes. We are living in a world overflowing with inspiration. Videos, quotes, and advice are everywhere. And yet, only a few people truly manage to change their lives. Why is that? Because motivation is just a spark, while discipline is the fire that keeps you moving forward. Today's story is not about perfection. It is about a young man who realized that small, steady steps each day can build a greater life than any burst of inspiration ever could. Stay until the end of the video, because the lesson he discovered might completely change the way you live your life. In a small town nestled in a peaceful valley, where red-roofed houses stood close together along a winding river, there lived a boy named Daniel. Daniel was 17 years old, an age full of dreams and grand ambitions. He was not born into a wealthy family, nor did he have any special talent. But in his heart burned a fire, the dream of doing something great. Every morning, before heading to school, Daniel would open YouTube and watch motivational videos. He wrote down every powerful quote he heard. Wake up early, stay consistent, work hard in silence. Those words made his heart beat faster, a wave of heat rushing through his body, as if he could already touch his bright, successful future. He whispered to himself, starting tomorrow, I will study for 6 hours every day. I will wake up early. I will change everything. Just thinking about it made Daniel feel like a whole new person, full of energy and determination. But then, after just a few days, that excitement faded away like the first summer breeze. Late mornings, unfinished lessons, promises written in his notebook, all forgotten. He began to make excuses. I am tired today. The weather is terrible. I can study tomorrow. And so, he would curl back into his warm blanket, watching the clock tick by, letting each small chance to change his life slip away. Over and over again, Daniel felt disappointed in himself. He knew he could do better, but he did not understand why he kept standing still. Sometimes, at night, he would sit by the window, looking out at the street, watching other people still working, still striving. He would ask himself, how can they stay so consistent? Why do I always start with passion and end with failure? That question kept repeating in Daniel's mind day after day, until one fateful afternoon, when he met his old friend Ryan, the person who would change Daniel's life forever. One afternoon, after school, Daniel wandered along the riverside road. The sky was clear and blue, the breeze was gentle, yet his heart felt unbearably heavy. He felt as if he was standing still in life, and worse, he was beginning to doubt his own dream. As he sat on an old stone step, Daniel suddenly heard someone call his name. It was Ryan, his old classmate from years ago. Ryan looked completely different now. Strong, confident, with calm and focused eyes that seemed to shine from within. They sat by the river and talked. Daniel shared how tired he felt about all the times he started with excitement but gave up halfway. Ryan just smiled. He said, Daniel, I used to be exactly like you. I used to wait for inspiration before taking action. But then I realized, if you keep waiting for inspiration, you will never start. Daniel looked at him and asked softly, so how do you stay motivated every day? Ryan replied, his voice calm but firm, I do not rely on motivation, Daniel. I rely on discipline. It is discipline that keeps me going, even when I do not feel inspired at all. Daniel frowned, confused. But isn't motivation the key? Ryan stood up, pointing toward the river glittering under the sunset, and said, "Tomorrow morning, I will show you what I mean. Meet me here before the sun rises." Daniel nodded, half curious, half doubtful. He had no idea that the next morning would mark the beginning of the biggest change in his entire life. The sky was still dark when Daniel arrived at the riverbank. The air was freezing cold, and fog hovered gently over the water. He hunched his shoulders inside his thin jacket, about to turn back, when he saw Ryan already waiting for him. "Let's go," Ryan said quietly. They walked along the river until they reached a small boat anchored nearby. On the boat sat an old man with silver-white hair and rough, calloused hands. His eyes were deep and calm like the still surface of the morning river. Ryan introduced him. "This is Mr. Hale, the man who taught me the most valuable lesson about discipline." The old man smiled kindly at Daniel. "You came at the right time. It is cold today, and there are fewer fish. But we still have to go out to the river, just like every other day." He picked up a worn fishing net and cast it gently into the water. His movements were slow but steady, as if he had been doing this all his life. Daniel asked curiously, "Do you not get bored, doing the same thing every single day?" Mr. Hale chuckled, his voice rough but warm. "Bored? Of course. But I do not come here because I enjoy it. I come because it is my responsibility. If I only went out when I felt inspired, my family would have nothing to eat." He paused, looked straight at Daniel, and continued, "You see, some days I catch a lot of fish, and some days I catch nothing at all. But I never skip a single day. I do not wait for inspiration, I trust in discipline." Those words left Daniel speechless. He had never realized that sometimes what keeps a person moving forward is not emotion, but responsibility and persistence. Mr. Hale looked toward the horizon, where the first light of dawn was breaking, and said softly, "Motivation is lightning, Daniel. It flashes bright and powerful, but it fades in an instant. Discipline, however, is fire. It burns slowly, steadily, and it is strong enough to light your path for a lifetime." Daniel stood silently, watching the river reflect the first rays of morning light, and deep inside, something within him began to awaken. After a long moment of silence, Mr. Hale pointed toward a patch of land nearby, where a cluster of bamboo stretched tall through the morning mist. He said, "Do you know how bamboo grows, Daniel?" Daniel shook his head. The old man smiled, his eyes distant as if looking back through time. "Long ago, there was a farmer who planted a small bamboo seed in the ground. Every day, he watered it, cared for it, and waited. A year passed, nothing grew. The second year, the third, even the fourth, still nothing. People laughed at him, calling him foolish for wasting time on something that seemed worthless. But the farmer never gave up. He stayed patient. And then, in the fifth year, within just 6 weeks, that bamboo shot up nearly 100 feet high into the sky, which is about 30 meters. Mr. Hale paused, looked at Daniel, and asked, "Do you know why?" Daniel thought for a moment, then said quietly, "Because during those years, its roots were growing underground." The old man nodded, his eyes brightening. "Exactly. For 4 long years, the bamboo was quietly building a strong foundation beneath the soil. If the farmer had given up, he would never have seen it rise so tall." He looked straight into Daniel's eyes, his voice low but warm. "Your life is the same, my boy. When you start to train, to study, or to chase a dream, there will be times when you see no results at all. But that does not mean your effort is meaningless. It simply means your roots are growing deep beneath the surface. Discipline is what keeps those roots alive, even when no one notices, even when no one applauds. And one day, when the time is right, everyone will see your own bamboo tree, tall, strong, and standing proudly against the sky. Daniel stood still. He felt warmth spreading through his chest. Something profound had just touched his heart. He no longer saw discipline as a burden, but as a promise to himself that even when results had not yet come, he would keep moving forward. From that morning on, Daniel was never the same. He stopped searching for inspiring quotes and no longer waited for motivation from videos or speeches. Instead, he created his own routine, a small discipline he would repeat every single day. In the morning, even when he felt tired, he still woke up early. At night, even when he was sleepy, he still opened his books to study. On the days he felt unmotivated, he still went to the library, just to keep the promise he made to himself. There were no more grand plans, no more "tomorrow I will change." Only small, quiet actions, consistent and steady, day after day. At first, nothing seemed to change. No one noticed him. No results came right away. But Daniel kept going. Then, little by little, he began to see transformation. His mind became sharper, his body stronger, and most importantly, he started to believe in himself. A year passed. He was no longer the same boy who used to procrastinate. Daniel had become someone everyone in town respected. Calm, confident, and disciplined. When people asked him what his secret to success was, Daniel simply smiled and said, "Motivation comes and goes, but discipline, it is what truly builds who you are." Many years later, Daniel still remembered that morning by the river, the day Mr. Hale taught him, motivation lights the beginning, but discipline keeps the fire burning until the very end. Now, whenever Daniel looked back on his journey, he smiled, not because he had succeeded, but because he knew he had conquered himself. He understood that success does not come from bright, shining moments, but from ordinary days when you choose to keep going, even when no one is watching, even when no one praises you. And I believe there is a Daniel inside each of us, a part that wants to change, yet easily gives up when inspiration fades. If today you feel tired or discouraged, do not look for more motivation. Start with just one small thing. Do it every day, consistently, and soon you will realize you have become stronger than ever before. Because motivation can make you start, but discipline is what makes you finish. If this story resonates with you, share in the comments what habit or goal you are trying to maintain every day. Who knows, your story might inspire someone who needs to hear this today. And if you would like to hear more stories like this, please hit like, share, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. The journey of becoming the best version of ourselves.